It's the International Soccer Preview. We are Soccerphiles Canada. Welcome to Series 31, looking at the players of the 2025 African Cup. This episode is looking at the players of Comoros, Part 2, the selection. Here we go! Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview by Soccerphiles Canada. I'm Kevin and this is a continuation of Series 31 on the players of the 2025 African Cup. This episode is part 2 of our coverage of Comoros' players. The final roster is released and we are looking at the selections of Comoros. In part 1, we compiled a list of players and their likelihood of reaching the final squad. That was based mostly on their participation from after the 2023 African Cup up until October 2025, those games which concluded World Cup 2026 qualifying. We did consider a few other factors as well. We also gave some biographical and career information on the main players to help you to get to know them better. In part 2 here, our focus is on the selections, especially the final selections. And before we move on, we want to let you know that in the springtime of 2026, probably April there, we will start producing episodes for the 2026 World Cup, which of course takes place in the summer. Keep an eye out for that, or better yet, subscribe to the channel and it will tell you when, it'll notify you when the episodes come out. Okay, this mediacast is divided into 3 sections. Section 1 is going to be some information about the team. In Section 2, that's the main part of the mediacast. So we're going to review the list that we compiled in part 1. We'll tell you who made the preliminary squad, if one was published. There was one for Comoros, and who made the final squad. And we're also going to try to predict starters. We actually took steps towards that in part 1 by providing a narrative of each position over the period. So we're going to examine the lineups here of the games played after October 2025 to see if they give any clues as to who will start. And then finally, we'll make our prediction on the starters. In Section 3, we will basically summarize. We'll start with a spotlight review. That's a quick run through of the players who made the squad and who our predicted starters will be. And we'll also highlight some surprise selections and non-selections and any new players, as well as updating on injuries. And Section 3 we will be using as a short version of our look at Comoros here. So let's jump right in and go to some team information here. So on the squad, yes, in part 1 we looked at club affiliations of players, the games they played over the recent period, and their preferred formations. Here we're focusing on the rosters that the teams published. All teams were required to submit a 55-man provisional squad to CAF, the federation. But whereas in 2023, those were released to the public, that was not done this time. Some teams found that it created problems to do so last time. And we won't go into the reasons why, but they are kind of interesting. This time it was up to each individual team, and some did while some didn't. For Comoros, I did discover the preliminary squad, or I think I did. It was supposed to be 55 players, but 3 of the names were repeated. So I have only 52 names on the list. I'm not sure I have the official list there. To this tournament, teams can bring as many as 28 players. Comoros, though, just are bringing 26 players. You'll notice that there's no number 19 and no number 24. So that is 26 players in the final squad for Comoros, chosen from a provisional squad of 50, well, probably 55, but mine is 52 players. So that would mean that half of the players would have had to be cut. Okay, and we will be looking at their recent games to get hints about who the starters are going to be. And Comoros had two friendlies in November. The first one was against Namibia in Comoros. The second one was supposed to be in Kenya on November 17th, the first being on November 14th. However, that game was cancelled, and they ended up playing Namibia again on November 17th, also at home. So they won both of those games, so that's good going into the Cup. We're not really interested in the scores, but more the lineups there. And we'll give a word on the 2025 African Cup because those games were played in December. However, the lineups were not that useful to us because it was just a B team. They brought a B team to the Arab Cup. So it's not going to help us to predict the starters. However, some players who did well in that cup were named to the final squad. And when that's the case, we'll let you know. But anyway, just for your information, they played a qualifying game in late November. That looks like it was an exciting one, a 4-4 draw with Yemen that went to penalties. Comoros won on penalties, so qualified for the cup. In the cup, though, they were a bit out of their depth. They started by playing Morocco, who they opened the African Cup here against. That's kind of interesting. But they lost to Morocco and then lost to Saudi Arabia and Oman. All three games they're lost, that tournament being held in Qatar. So again, well, not interested in the results, but also the lineups not very useful for us there. All right, let's move on to section 2. And we always begin with the manager. So the manager is actually a French-Canadian manager, which makes us proud because we come out of Canada as well. And hang on, I'm just having a little trouble finding my documents here. Okay. The manager is Stefano Kusin. And yeah, we won't go into detail on him. He got them here to the African Cup. They finished first in qualification over Tunisia to get here. In World Cup qualifying, they finished 4th of 6 in their group, which is not as good a result, of course, but probably par for Comoros. Anyway, no problems, it seems, with Stefano Kusin, so we're going to nominate him as our first candidate to be selected for the squad, as it were, because he didn't get fired shortly beforehand. Let's go to the goalkeepers now, and in part 1 we created this list. Definite candidate Yannick Pandor, and also definite candidate Salim Ben Boyina. And then we have a likely candidate, Adel Anzimata, sometimes called Anzimata Abudu. We're just going to call him Adel Anzimata. We had a possible candidate in Naeem Saeed Mchindra, and then possible but unlikely candidate Ali Al-Hamadi. He was the starter in the 2021 African Cup, which, if you recall, they ran out of goalkeepers and had to put a defender in against Cameroon. We're going to meet that defender a little bit later. Okay, well, those are the candidates after part 1. However, a couple of new candidates were named to the preliminary squad, so we're going to add them to the list. For the most part, we'll just add them as names because unless they made the final squad. So we have new candidate Moyad Husseini. Well, not new. He was actually a backup keeper he was their 4th backup keeper in the 2021 African Cup, but didn't play into the drama of them running out of goalkeepers because he wasn't on the bench for any of the 4 games, but he was named to the squad. Anyway, Moyad Husseini and Fahad Mohammed, both of those making the preliminary squad there, but not the final squad, so we won't go into further detail on them. Let's go and look at the candidates we have and see who made it and who didn't. We have Yannick Pandor, who was selected for the final squad, and so was Salim Ben Boina. And then we had likely candidate Adel Anzimati making the squad, but possible candidate Naeem Saeed Machindra not making even the preliminary squad there. Actually, the keeper who was at the possible but unlikely level, Ali Al Hamada, did make the preliminary squad, but not the final cut there. So we didn't get into our predictions in part one, but actually we kind of did quietly make them in preparation for part two. We thought that Yannick Pandor would be the likely starter, and then Salim Ben Boina, a possible starter. We weren't sure who the third string keeper was going to be, because it looked like Adel Anzimati was kind of making a bid, or was looking like the third string keeper, but Machindra was making a bid at the end in the last 4 games. So that's why we did want to look at the squads for the November friendlies. And what we see there is Yannick Pandor starting the first game, and actually Adel Anzimati starting the second. Further to that, Anzimati started 2 of the games in the Arab Cup there. Not many of these players did, but he started 2. And interestingly, Ali Al Hamada, our possible candidate, started the other 2. So it looks like Anzimati kind of moving up in the rankings here, or the threat from Machindra didn't materialize. How does that change our thinking on the starters? Well, we still think Yannick Pandor is the likely starter, but we bump Anzimati's chances up a little bit and put him alongside Ben Boina as a possible starter. So we're going to use stars to indicate. We're going to use 1 star for a possible, 2 stars for likely, and 3 stars for definite. And we're going to give 2 stars to Yannick Pandor here, and then 1 to both Salim Ben Boina and Adel Anzimati. Yeah, we're not really sure if Anzimati is making a bid for the second string keeper. Okay, that's it for goalkeepers then. We have our goalkeepers. Let's move on to defenders. And here we have in central defence 3 definite candidates: Warmed Omari, Kasim Mdahoma, and Ahmed Soilihi. No candidates at the likely level there, but we have 3 possible candidates as well: Youn Zahari, Kenan Toibibu, and Yakin Saeed Mahdi. And then at the retired level, we had a candidate, Najim Abdu. So let's tell you who made it here. Warmed Omari was an injury concern, out with a ligament tear since early October. He was expected to return on December 31st. That seemed to us to be too late, and it proved to be. He is out of the cup. So a bit of a loss for them, because he was a pretty major figure starting most of the games over the period, but Warmed Omari not even named to the preliminary squad there. The other 2, Kasim Mdahoma was selected, as was Ahmed Soilihi. And among our possible candidates, Youn Zahari was selected, but only for the preliminary squad. It was Kenan Toibibu selected ahead of him for the final squad, and Yakin Saeed Mahdi not selected even for the preliminary squad. However, our candidate that we had as retired captain of the team in the 2021 African Cup, but now 41 years old, was selected for the preliminary squad. That's Najim Abdu. And he has actually retired from soccer altogether in 2022. So a bit odd that he was named to the preliminary squad. Here, though, we have new candidates, and two of them actually made the final squad. The first one is Yanis Kari, and the second one is Idris Mohammed. And we also have one who just made the preliminary squad, Karim Atumani. So let's introduce these new candidates here. Yanis Kari has been with Comoros since 2023 with 5 caps for the team. He's 25 years old and he plays for Fréjus Saint Raphael in France currently. He was born in France. He earned a single cap in 2023 and then was off the squad. But he returned after a more than 2-year absence for the Arab Cup. So he's one of the players brought up from the Arab Cup. He started all 4 games in the Arab Cup there. So presumably a good performance there earned him a spot on the squad here. Idris Mohammed. Well, he does have 1 cap because he started one of the November friendlies. He's 22 years old, and he also was born in France and plays for a fairly small club, Le Puy Foot in France since 2025. And he's new to the squad, just appearing there in November, but not part of the Arab Cup. There. So we'll only introduce candidates who made the squad here. So we're left with 5 central defenders here: Kassim Mdohama, Ahmed Soilehi, Kenan Toibibu, Yanis Kari, and Idris Mohammed. Let's talk about our predicted starters. After part 1, our thinking was that Kassim Mdohama was a definite candidate or a definite starter. We would have said Warmed Ormari would have been too, except now he's out with injury. So we thought likely starters in his absence would be either Soilehi or Tobibu. Looking at the recent games, it is Mdohama and Kenan Tobibu in the first game starting. In the second game, it looks like a 3-man central defense. I say it looks like because we don't actually have a graphic of the lineup. We just have a list of players. So I have to kind of presume. But we do have 3 of the central defenders there. Kenan Tobibu, so he started both games. Ahmed Soilehi and newcomer Idris Mohammed there. So the only one of them to start both games was Tobibu. So we revise our list and we're going to put as likely starters both Kenan Tobibu and Kassim Mdohama. And we'll put as a possible starter again. Hang on. There we go. As a possible starter, Ahmed Soilehi, but we're less kind of confident about him. But I got to tell you, even after part 1, we were pretty uncertain in a lot of our positions because they made a lot of changes in the last 4 games. And we're going to see they made further changes in the 2 November friendlies. So for Comoros, we're a bit doubtful about all of our predictions, and we were at the end of part 1 too. But there we have it. We're doing the best we can. Let's move on to left backs, and here we have 2 definite candidates: Ismail Boura and Abdel Hakim Abdallah. He's often called Hakim Abdallah. And then 1 likely candidate in Remy Vita. And we saw in part 1 that especially Ismail Boura and to a lesser extent Remy Vita do start in other positions as well. Anyway, long and short of it, all 3 of them were selected. So we have Ismail Boura, Abdel Hakim Abdallah, and Remy Vita as part of our squad for the Cup. And let's see, we do have a couple of new candidates. I promised this name would come back up again. It's Chakar Al-Hadour, and he is the player who found himself as a goalkeeper against Cameroon in Game 4 of the 2021 African Cup. He did a pretty good job of it too. It's surprising though, because he too retired from soccer recently in 2025. So a bit odd that he's named to the preliminary squad. I'm sure there's more to the story there, but with bringing back retired players, but we don't know. We have two other new candidates, Glenn Yunus and Nassim Ahmed. Both of those are pretty young and maybe names for the future, but for now, just named to the preliminary squad. Okay, let us try to do our predictions here. After part one, our thinking was we couldn't really identify a clear starter, so we had both of those players, Ismail Boura and Akim Abdallah, as likely starters because, as we said, Boura might start in another position, maybe central defence, or sometimes as I think it's a right attacking midfielder, an attacking midfielder anyway. And so we'll see his name when we get to the attacking end of the pitch too. In the recent games, we have Akim Abdallah starting both of those games. So we're going to revise our starters. We now think Akim Abdallah is more likely, at least in this position. So we're going to put 2 stars by him, just at the likely level, not confident enough to say definite. And then possible starters, we put both. Remy Vita did start as well as Akim Abdallah in that game. So we think maybe one of them started as part of a 3-man defense there. But again, we only have a list and not a visual. So we are going to put Remy Vita as a possible starter, although in truth we have more confidence that Ismail Boura would be the starter. Okay, that is it for left backs. Let's go on to the right backs, and we have a definite candidate in Saeed Bakari, likely candidate Mohamed Yusuf, and possible candidate Benjalud Yusuf. 2 possible but unlikely candidates, Akim Jaha and Abdallah Ali Mohammed, and then a retired candidate, Kassim Abdallah. Let us see who made it. So Saeed Bakari, our definite candidate, was selected for the squad. But a bit surprisingly, our likely candidate, Mohamed Yusuf, just making the preliminary squad there and getting in ahead of him, Benjalud Yusuf, getting the nod there. He's made the final squad. Our 2 possible candidates, Akim Jaha, Abdallah Ali Mohammed, neither of them even making the preliminary squad, and nor did Kassim Abdallah. Let's see if we have any new candidates. Well, we have a couple of candidates that are general defenders. I'll just deal with them here before we predict starters. General defenders are usually so new to the squad that we're not really sure what position they play because they haven't gotten on the field. So we just have Soivra Hidini Ihajaji. That's a really difficult name. As a new candidate here, just making the preliminary squad. The other one, Bakri Joseph. So we'll just put those names on, but not deal with them because they're not on the final squad. Let's go back then to the right backs, and what did we have for predictions in our minds after part 1? Well, we thought Saeed Bakari would be a likely starter. He also plays as an attacking midfielder, though, so that maybe improves his chances of starting somewhere on the field. We had Mohamed Yusuf and Benjalud Yusuf kind of at an equal level, at the possible level. But Mohamed Yusuf now off the squad, so we'll definitely have to revise. Looking at the recent games, in November, we had Saeed Bakari starting in the first game and Benjalud Yusuf starting in the second. So we have revised our thinking such that we still have Saeed Bakari as a likely starter, as I said, because he may also start somewhere else on the field. And now Benjalud Yusuf alone as the possible starter, so probably improves his chances a little bit there. Again, so difficult to make any confident predictions here. Let's move on to the midfield and review the general or the defensive midfielders there. And we have Yassine Bourhain and Ayad Mohamed, both of those definite candidates. None at the likely level, but at the possible level, Remain Daou, and then possible but unlikely Rafadine Abdullah. And in part one, we did the defensive and central midfield together, so we'll do that here as well. For the central midfielders, we have Yusuf Mchangama, and he is at the definite level, as is Zaidou Yusuf, also a definite candidate. Here too, no candidate at the likely level. At the possible level, we have Raouf Moyovili, and then possible but unlikely Faoud Bashiru. Let's go back to the top and see who made it. So both of our definite candidates, Yassine Bourhain and Ayad Mohamed, both of those selected. The possible candidate, Ramain Daou, not even selected for the preliminary squad there, and nor was Rafadine Abdullah. We do have a new candidate here, though, who was selected for the preliminary squad, so we'll put him on the list as a new candidate. It is Nakibu Abubakari, and he was part of the squad in the 2021 African Cup, just on the bench there, but just making the preliminary squad this time around. The central midfielders, Yusuf Mchangama, probably their biggest player there, selected, which is no surprise, and Zaidou Yusuf also selected for the final squad there. Here, the possible candidate was selected, Raouf Moyovili, selected for the final squad. Possible candidate, Faoud Bashiru, not selected for the final squad, just for the preliminary squad there. And let us just add, no, we'll come to him later. Let us look at the squad and see what we have for the recent games. And sorry, I'm just trying to find my spot here. Okay, we'll talk about our predictions, what we were thinking after part one. So again, here, we couldn't nominate a definite starter, but we had three of them. They do often use a three-man central midfield as likely starters: Yusuf Mchangama, Zaidou Yusuf, and Yassine Bourhain. We thought all three of them were likely, but we thought Ayad Mohamed was a possible candidate there. So expecting to see some rotation too in the midfield there. Now we can look at the recent games. It was in the first game a three-man central defence, it looks like, or three of our candidates were used. Yusuf Mchangama, and Ayad Mohammed and Rauf Mroivili in the first game. So really only one of our definite candidates fielded there. In the second game, it was Yusuf Mchangama and Ayad Mohammed again. So sorry, Ayad Mohammed is a definite candidate. So Mchangama and Ayad Mohammed both starting 2 games, and Zaidou Youssef, Yassine Bourhain, and Rauf Mroivili just starting 1. So how does that affect our predictions? Well, we're now seeing Yusuf Mchangama and Ayad Mohammed as likely starters, and we reduce Zaidou Youssef and Yassine Bourhain to just possible starters there. So I got to put my little stars beside the players. So 2 stars beside Ayad Mohammed and Ayad Mohammed, and 1 star beside Yassine Bourhain, and then 2 stars for Yusuf Mchangama, and 1 for Zaidou Youssef. Okay, that is the central midfield. Again, that's 2 to 3 positions, because they do use 3 players quite a bit. I think half of the games there. We go on upfield to the attacking end of the pitch, and we look at left side attackers, and here we have a definite candidate in Rafiki Saeed, and also in Faiz Selemani. And then we have no candidate at the likely level, but Adel Mahamoud at the possible level here. So Rafiki Saeed and Faiz Selemani, both of those selected for the final squad, and the possible candidate Adel Mahamoud just making the preliminary squad there. But we do have a new candidate, 2 new candidates here. One of them actually making the squad. That is Zaid Amir. He played in the Arab Cup there. He got 2 goals in his first game. Obviously made a good impression and is brought up to the team here. And then the other one is Ali Mamadi. Ali Mamadi just making the preliminary squad there. He was part of the squad for the African Cup in 2021. But we're going to focus a bit more on Zaid Amir because he made the squad. We'll introduce him. So with Comoros since 2025, 2 caps and 2 goals for him, 23 years old. He plays for Istres in France since 2025 and Le Mans in France before that. He wasn't born in France, though. He was born in Mayotte. Anyway, so there he is. He has no tournament experience, of course, brand new to the team, Zaid Amir, and that leaves us with 3 left attackers, but it's very fluid up front and players switch positions quite a bit. So let's take a look at our predictions going into the last cup or coming out of part 1. We were really doubtful here. We had just at the possible starter level Rafiki Saeed, and then we did see a chance for Faiz Selemani. Well, all of them, including right back Saeed Bakari and right back Benjalud Youssef sometimes appearing up here. So we're not really sure. And then there's further confusion in the November games because we don't see any of these names here. Saeed Bakari is listed, but we think he probably played as a right back. And in fact, we wonder if they used this position, if they used a formation with this position at all. So in terms of our predictions, we're just going to stick with what we have here. Very uncertain. We have Rafiki Saeed as a possible candidate, and that's as much as we're going to say. With the other ones are not out of the question, but they don't look like strong enough candidates to make a prediction. So a bit of confusion on the left. We're going to see it's the same on the right as well. But let's, and on the right, we actually had no candidates listed as right attackers. But we do have two new ones coming in, but they just at the preliminary squad level. They didn't make the final cut. So Hussein Zakuani is the first one. And the second one is Said Ali Saeed Mouridi. So who was starting over here? Well, it was out of position players basically starting over here. So the left attacker Faiz Selemani did start over here a bit. And then we had the right back Saeed Bakari moving up to start over here. But in November, we don't see any of these names here either, which is really making us think that the formation didn't have this position. So we're going to stick with what we have here as a likely candidate, Faiz Selemani. And I think I'll just put him on, I'll just copy him from the other side there. He is a definite candidate. And then we have Saeed Bakari. Well, I won't go back and move him up, but we'll put Faiz Selemani as a likely starter there. Maybe I should go back and move him up so that I remember what I said. Right back Bakari Saeed, or Saeed Bakari as a possible starter. On the right, I hope I'm not making you dizzy with the graphics, you YouTube watchers there. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the central attacking midfielder. This was a position that they didn't use much over the course of the period. We had Rayan Luton as a likely candidate there, probably starting in other positions. Yes, he did actually start in the central midfield a bit more. And at the possible but unlikely level, we have Emerick Ahmed. And finally, seemingly off the squad, Ahmed Mogni. Rayan Luton did make the final squad, and a bit of a surprise in Emerick Ahmed also making the squad, although we had considered it unlikely. Ahmed Mogni not even making the preliminary squad there. And we do have a new candidate to introduce, that is Zaid Yusuf. But he just made the preliminary squad, so we won't spend time on him there. What we will do is we just had undefinable starter. The only candidate really, Rayan Luton, didn't start in this position. He did the only time they used it, actually, but it looks like in the November games they used it twice, because his name, he started both games, so maybe it was as an attacking midfielder. And Rayan Luton. So now we upgrade it from an undefinable starter to a possible starter in Rayan Luton. All right, we move on to forwards, and we have a definite candidate in Maizien Maolida, and then none at the likely level, but 4 at the possible level: El Fardu Ben Nabuhain, Abu Bakar Ali, Faiz Matwar, and Ibrahim Yusuf. And then at the possible but unlikely level, Ibrahim Mahdi. Let's see who made it. We have Maizien Maolida, unsurprisingly making it, our definite candidate. Also unsurprising, El Fardu Ben Nabuhain, even though he was just at the possible level. Abu Bakar Ali, or Abu Bakar Ali Abdallah, also selected for the final squad. The last two possible candidates, though, Faiz Matwar, not selected, and Ibrahim Yusuf, also not selected. Ibrahim Yusuf was used in the Arab Cup there. Our possible but unlikely candidate, sorry, I'm just waiting for my computer to catch up. It's misbehaving a little bit. Ibrahim Mahdi, just selected for the preliminary squad there. And we have a couple of new candidates, three of them, but all of them are just preliminary squad players. The first one is Lutfi Dowdow. And then Afin Jambe. He was part of the Arab Cup squad there, brought in from the team. And then Jumoy Musa. Part of the African Cup squad in 2021, just a substitute there. So that leaves us with three candidates. We've looked at a lot of names, so I'll repeat them. Maizie Maolida, and then El Fardu Ben Nabuhain, and Abubakar Ali. Those three candidates selected. What did we think after part one? We thought that Maizie Maolida would be a definite starter, one of the few candidates we could nominate as a definite. And then as a possible starter, it was an out-of-position player, Rafiki Saeed, was kind of our second choice. The games in November do not help us. Here. It was Ibrahim Yusuf, who ultimately wasn't even selected for the squad. The other one was Abubakar Ali, the possible candidate. So Maolida not showing up in either of those games. So now we become a bit doubtful, and we move him down to likely starter. And for possible starters, we still think Rafiki Saeed is possible. But now we think because he started the last game there, Abubakar Ali also a possible candidate. So I wish we could, after all of our analysis, be more confident about our picks. But changes in the fall of 2025 really threw a lot of doubt on us. Okay, that's the end of section 2. So we move into section 3, and we begin with our spotlight review. Oh my goodness, I spelled it wrong in the graphic. Spotlight review. We want to welcome listeners to the short version of the mediacast. So here we're basically racing through a review of what we covered in, it kind of covers part 1 and part 2 of the mediacast, where we basically put together a list of candidates and then said who was selected and our picks. I want to just say, though, that our picks for who we think are going to be starters are pretty dubious for Comoros, because they made some changes in the fall of 2024. In the fall of 2025, which cast a bit of doubt on our guesses. And then the two friendlies they played in November rather confused us rather than helped us. So we're just flying by the seat of our pants here in terms of our predictions. Anyway, we do predict Stefano Kuzin, the manager, will lead them through the cup. We'll call him a definite candidate. For goalkeepers, we had two definite candidates, Yannick Pandor, Salim Benboina, both of them making the squad, and likely candidate Adel Anzimati making the squad. We're not going to cover the candidates who made the preliminary squad, although if you are watching it on YouTube, you can see those in a blue highlight. In terms of predictions, we think Yannick Pandor is the likely starter, but we do give a possibility chance to Salim Benboina and to Adel Anzimati, but we're not confident enough to predict a definite starter over here. We won't be able to for any of the positions, actually. In central defence, we had three definite candidates. Warmed Omari, who is injured. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but not selected even for the preliminary squad there. The other two definite candidates were selected for the final squad. That is Kasim Dahoma and Ahmed Soilihi. We also had three possible candidates: Yoon Zahari, just making the preliminary squad. Kenan Toibibu getting some starts at the end there, so making the final squad, and Yakin Saeed Mamadi not even making the preliminary squad. We had a couple of new players coming in that were selected for the squad there, and that is Yanis Kari and Idris Mohammed. Both of those added to the final squad. In terms of predictions, we think two of them are at the likely level for us: Kasim Dahoma and Kenan Toibibu, and then one player at the possible starter level, Ahmed Soilihi. Moving on to left backs, we had two definite candidates: Ismail Bora and Abdel Hakim Abdallah, often called Hakim Abdallah. Both of those selected for the final squad, as was our likely candidate, Remy Vita. In terms of starters, we think Hakim Abdallah is a likely starter, but we just give possible level to Ismail Bora and Remy Vita. Ismail Bora may start in central defence there. For right backs, we have a definite candidate in Saeed Bakari. He was selected for the squad. Our likely candidate, Mohamed Yusuf, just selected for the preliminary squad. A bit of a surprise there. And possible candidate Benjalud Yusuf, selected for the final squad. In terms of likelihood of starting, we think Saeed Bakari at the likely level and Benjalud Yusuf at the possible level there. Defensive and central midfielders. Well, we'll do them separately here. Defensive midfielders: Yassine Bourhain and Iyad Mohammed. Both of those making the squad. There, our possible candidate, Ramain Daou, not even making the preliminary squad there. In terms of likelihood, we actually think Iyad Mohammed is more likely after the November games. So we say likely for him and just possible for Yassine Bourhain. Central midfielders, we have two definite candidates: Yusuf Mchangama and then Zaidou Yusuf. And then both of those made the final squad. And our possible candidate here also did. It's Raouf Mroivili, and he was selected. And in terms of starters, we think Yusuf Mchangama is a likely starter, but we have Zaidou Yusuf as a possible starter. Okay, up to the attacking end of the midfield. For left attackers, we have two definite candidates: Rafiki Saeed and Faiz Selamani, and both of those were selected for the final squad. Our possible candidate, Adel Mahamoud, not selected for the final squad, just the preliminary squad there. But we have a new candidate here in Saeed Amir, making it from the Arab Cup. He did well in that cup. In terms of starters, we're really doubtful over here. We just have Rafiki Saeed at the possible level. For right attackers, we have a definite candidate in Faiz Selamani. Well, no, we've introduced him already. Actually, we had no candidates over here. So during the last 2 years, it's basically been out of position players coming over here, including the two that we've drafted in from other positions. So we think Faiz Selamani has a likely chance of starting, and right back Saeed Bakari, a possible starter as a right attacker over here. Central attackers, central attacking midfield, no candidates at the definite level. At the likely level, we had Ryan Lutin, and he was selected for the final squad. And possible but unlikely candidate, Aymeric Ahmed, also selected for the final squad, a bit surprisingly. And in terms of starters, we give Ryan Lutin a possible level of starting. And finally, the forwards, Maizien Maolida, it was a definite candidate and was selected. And then we had 4 possible candidates, El Fardu Ben Nabuhain. Sorry, let me do that again. El Fardu Ben Nabuhain and Abubakar Ali. Those 2 were selected. The other 2 were not, Faiz Matwar and Ibrahim Yusuf. Just making the preliminary squad, those 2. And that's it. In terms of likelihood, Maizien Maolida was our only definite candidate after we did part 1, but then he didn't start either of the November games, so we had to move him down to just a likely level, and we give Abubakar Ali a possible chance of starting in this position. All right, that is our spotlight review. Let's go over the surprises or just some highlights that we want to do. Notable non-selections. Well, we have central defender Warmed Omari. He was a definite candidate. That is due to injury, so we'll also cover him in injuries. The other surprising non-selection was right back Mohamed Yusuf. We had him as a likely candidate. Surprise inclusions, really just the one, attacking midfielder Aymeric Ahmed. He was at the possible but unlikely level, but was selected for the squad. And then new players, we have 3 of them that we hadn't had on our list in part 1, all of them coming in at the end and named to the final squad. The first one is left attacking midfielder Zaid Amir. The other 2 are central defenders, Yanis Kari and Idris Mohammed. So all of those pretty in their early 20s. Yanis Kari at 25 is the oldest there. For injuries, we have no new updates. For injuries, we only had after part 1 Warmed Omari, who we've mentioned a couple of times now. He was out with a ligament tear since early October, and even in part 1 we knew he was expected to come back on December 31st, which we feared would be too late, and that seems to have been the case. So we had Omari in the close call category, but now we move him down to the dropped due to injury category. And that was it for injuries. And that brings us to the end of our look at Comoros' players. It is possible there will be a couple of changes between now and when the tournament begins. They're in the opening game there, but we won't be able to provide last minute updates on that, which we sometimes do. But so that means our next look will be at the teams in the for the World Cup. So I'm just trying to find our goodbye graphic here. It's way down on the page, so I'm making YouTube viewers dizzy again. Anyway, there it is. It brings us to the end of our look at part 2 of Comoros' players. We would like to thank Pixabay and Cold Fingers for the wonderful music used in this mediacast. The title of the piece is Eid Mubarak.